Hello and welcome to CSS and Introduction. In this first part we're going to quickly learn about what CSS is, how to set up a file and how to do some basic styling in a CSS file. So there are three different types of styling when using CSS. We have inline, we have external, and we have internal. So we're quickly going to go through inline. If you followed through the course HTML, the building block of the web, this is the code that we're going to be using for this course. So if you don't have that, go into the description and click on the link and it'll take you to the website and you can just copy the code from there and paste it. So inline styling is very simple. We've seen it before. It's in this code here twice that I can see. It looks like this. It's when we have the style embedded in the same line as the HTML element, hence the name inline. So we just set a style, set equal to a string of separate properties. Now this can be useful when quickly prototyping something, when you might just want to use a simple, for a header you might just want the colour to be changed, but when you have lots of different styles it's going to get really complicated. Imagine if you had 20 styles here, it would be really hard to read. So the thing that we can do is separate it into a CSS file, and that's external styling. So I'm going to make a new file, I'm going to call it index.css. And it's very common to call the file the same name as the HTML file. So if I was creating one for page 2, I would call it page2.css. So I'll hit enter and create the new file. And we're going to swap over the styling from this h1 into this here. So how do we target the h1? We simply just write h1 followed by a pair of opening and closing braces. I'm going to separate them braces onto a new line. And then we put the styling inside of these braces. So for example, I have color red. We write it a bit differently. We write the property first, then a colon, and then the property value, so red. And then we finish it off with a semicolon. So it's very similar to what we've done already. So if I get rid of all of this, and I save it, and I'll save this file. And if I come into my browser, drag and drop the file, you'll see that the header loses all of its styling. So how do I actually get the styling from the CSS to affect this file here, the HTML file? We need to link it. So if you did go through the HTML course, we learned that links get put in the head and they can be used to link to separate files or places. So for example, this one here is a font from Google. So we're going to create another link tag. The href will be the local file, and we target that by using a dot, a full stop, followed by a forward slash, and that means go to the same folder that we're in. So it goes to CSS and Introduction, which is what I've called my folder, then it goes into there, and you can see it auto suggests them on Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to choose index.css. And then the rel will be style sheet as well, the same as the font, because they are both style sheets. Style sheet, sorry, my typing is awful. And then if we save that, and we'll give the page a refresh, you'll see the styling affects it. And we can quickly demonstrate transferring some of the other stuff over. So we had font size, and write font size and give it 20 pixels. I can't remember what the value was. Save that, refresh, and much smaller. So I'll just set that to about 50, I think it was. And the other way we can use CSS is internal. An internal CSS goes in a pair of style tags in the head. So we'll have an opening and closing style tag. And then inside of here is the exact same layout as here. So we can copy and paste it over. Like so. Copying's horrible. There we go. And then I'm going to delete the link just so we can make sure that the CSS from the file isn't actually affecting it, and it is these tags here. A command refresh. And you can see it's affected it. So when would we use either of them? Inline styling is, like I said at the beginning, it's good when you might want one property for an element, but I wouldn't use it past one or two because you start to get bogged down and you start to get confused about what's styling what. And external styling is probably the most common. It's best to keep things separate so you can keep organized, and when you have a lot of styling, it's not uncommon to have a file with 100 lines in it. I've made plenty of them, so having it separate is very useful. And external styling, I mean, personally I don't use it. You might use it if you like it, but again, I wouldn't use too many. Maybe one or two of these. So maybe it's like you could have one, and then if you were targeting a P there, but I wouldn't go past 2 really, or 3, because again it starts to get bogged down when you have a lot of HTML in with a lot of CSS. It starts to get very confusing, so it's always best to split them up. And that's it for part 1. It was just a quick overview. I'll see you in the next part. Thanks for watching.